Great event, Amsterdam, perfect city.
Move back to the future.
So, yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Castillo from Versa Design. I'm very conscious that I'm the last obstacle left between you guys and lunch, so I'll try to be quick and straight to the point. The purpose of the speech today is to share with you our story of the creation of a long life tracker. So this story began as a blank page a while ago, in more or less 9 months. In Christmas this year, like so many other New Year resolutions, we decided to change a little bit the business model of our company. So before stepping into that, I'll give you some background. Versa Design, of course, offers design services in electronics. That involves both the hardware design, the routing of the circuits, but also the development of the embedded software that runs on those circuits. So the firmware that delivers the value, that makes the job, which is what is more or less frequent in the industry, is that we combine these skills, these capabilities, the design part of it, with the manufacturing. So we eat our own dog food, which means that we manufacture what we design. And what we deliver is not a theoretical description of the circuit, of the asset. We actually deliver physically the asset. We are a device maker. So the fact of combining design and manufacturing capabilities, we are strong believers in the additional value that that brings to our customers, because being very conscious of the capabilities of our equipment and what can be done in good conditions, we always design what can be manufactured in high volume. So in some regards, I could say that our projects, our devices are industrialized from day one. We don't have pilots in which we test a different stuff than what would be served if the pilot is successful. So if I summarize this with the mission statement of the company, and then I will stop the sales speech and come back to the real fact, we try to deliver excellence in design and top quality in production in order to serve our customers the best possible products at an affordable price. So in summarizing that into one sentence, we design what we manufacture, and what we manufacture what we design. So I close this small parenthesis, come back to the original idea, this New Year resolution. Why we try to change the business model? Because this is what we have been doing for 12 years so far, designing and manufacturing for others. We have been traditionally a known manufacturer. We manufacture boards for other people who assemble those circuits into somebody else. And this year we gave ourselves the target of creating our own product. Okay? So this is what this is about. Share our experience along this process so that you can be conscious of everything that it takes until we have something ready to go. So we started with a brainstorming session internally. We gave ourselves the targets that we wanted to achieve with this product in order to narrow the possibilities into something concrete and precise. So the first thing that we wanted to achieve was volume, and this is because our bread and butter is manufacturing. That's what we do best, and that's what we want to continue doing. So we wanted to do something massively usable on the field, so that we guarantee stability and financially speaking, and from the labor point of view for the company. So that was our first target, and we thought that the Internet of Things was a good field for achieving that because of all the buzz, and there's appetite on the market for IoT applications. Inside the field of IoT, we identified a very specific sector, which is asset tracking. So we try to focus our attention in that, but try to do it with a unique selling proposition. Why? Because asset tracking is something that has been done for years. So there are applications around asset tracking for more than 20 years on the market. If we wanted to penetrate that market, we required to do something new to deliver a USP. So after checking all these ideas in the mixer, we came up with a sort of answer to all these questions. We gave ourselves some challenges that were hurdles that other competitors not always had been able to achieve. First one was the longevity of the device. So this is a good combination after the speech from Saft. The duration, the longevity of the asset was the main target from the beginning. From day one, that was one of the biggest differences that we wanted to implement to differentiate our product with other pre-existing products. Second, the precision of the location. Everybody has a smartphone today, so the expectation today is a high level of precision. We didn't want to deliver something that would deceive the expectations of our customers, so we thought that GPS was an absolute must that we have respected, as you will see later on. Then, ubiquitous network. We didn't want to implement something based on a radio system that is available only in predictable areas, because asset tracking delivers its highest value when it works also in unpredictable areas. That's precisely the type of events that you want to be aware of. When your asset appears in Morocco when it was supposed to be in Spain. So in that regard, the choice of the network was critical. And of course, and because of the volume that we want to achieve, affordable total cost of ownership. And when I say total cost of ownership, I really mean it in a holistic way. This includes the initial cost of the device, the running cost of the device, and that includes battery consumption and also communication costs. It also includes labor and operational costs. We wanted to minimize the maintenance requirements of the asset, of the tracker, and I will give you some hints about how we have achieved that, how we have achieved to deliver something that simply works every day for many years without having to revisit the device periodically. That is significant if retrofitting your assets is a complexity. If you have returnable assets that are difficult to maintain, we don't want to have to revisit them because of the tracker that they carry. So, this list of challenges was somehow difficult to address, but we tried to progressively solve problems one by one, starting with the battery. So I believe that we followed the recommendations from the experts. The radio module selection. So again, in combination or in connection with what we have heard from ABV, the selection of the microprocessor and the implementation of the firmware. So a detailed development and the management of the low consumption modes, the fluctuation between sleep mode and run mode, and of course, the selection of the operator. The fact of, well, of course, we have selected and implemented our asset based on ThinkStream, but the consequence of doing that, just to give you an example, is that with the same hardware, same radio module, same battery, same microprocessor, sending a simple amount of data to the internet over 2G takes more than a minute just to establish the session, negotiate the APN with the network, obtain an IP address, and finally connecting to your server and push the data. Thanks to ThinkStream, we have minimized that amount of time to less than a fifth of that. which of course has a dramatic impact on the battery consumption and the longevity of the device that we wanted to achieve in the first place. So, with those targets in mind and some technical choices made, we created the thing. So we designed the device, we manufactured the first units just to demonstrate and prove technical feasibility. So the fact that with the appropriate choices done, it could be possible, technically possible, to obtain a GPS location and actually transmit it periodically over a long period, a high number of years. So we designed the device, we actually manufactured several units, and launched the design process for the enclosure. So we wanted to deliver something rugged, so something resistant that could be easily attached to the asset. And that's part of the project as well. So even though most of the challenges are on the electronic side of things, we cannot forget the plastics and the enclosures because this is a long process until you have something ready to go. So the fact of creating an initial version that was complete and functional allowed us to trigger this task in parallel, so the creation of the target enclosure. But because this takes a while, we wanted to check that everything was on track and started manufacturing the device. So it was easy for us thanks to this combination of design and manufacturing. We physically created some units, went through field testing for obtaining real data, actual data from the field. But as you can see in the photograph, this does not look very professional. I mean, it works, but when we accommodate the final design or the target design to an existing enclosure, because we don't have our own tailor-made enclosure, it doesn't look very nice. So we had to adapt the board to something more usable, something that could make sense on the field, which is this, and which very quickly we started to ship to really test the technology on the field and obtain real, actual experience. So we started doing that. We prepared our own boxes, started to deliver in big quantities, ran some tests on the field to obtain real experience, make all the mistakes to be made as soon as possible in order to refine the design, improve the firmware, and achieve a final product that is really commercially available and usable in high scale. In parallel, we did not forget the other track, so the enclosure. So we carried on evolving the design of the enclosure. This is really frustrating because it takes literally months until we have something decent. And even though we try to make progress as fast as possible, we couldn't have the final thing until more than 6 months since we kicked it off. In the meantime, of course, 3D printing helps, but you don't obtain the resistance that you need in a rugged environment on the field. So it's good for lab testing, but not good enough for field deployment. So this was a limitation that we have to overcome during the design process. At the end, so 6 months after we initiated, we created a final design. So version 3, version 1 having demonstrated technical feasibility, and version 2 being able to be deployed on the field. This one was the final design to be shipped for massive deployment. This was a reality this summer after having initiated the project in Christmas. So again, we started manufacturing in big quantities, and now with a final enclosure, the injection mold, and something ready to go, we started to deliver. Today, we have delivered several thousands of units. So this is the combination of the experience obtained at the beginning and applied to the refinement process of the circuitry and the firmware. And the result is the product that we wanted to introduce today, commercially available, off the shelf. So I really invite you to test it on the field. Many of the technical difficulties that my colleagues have elaborated about have been solved. So simply just do it, test it, and make sure that the commercial promise is respected. So we are guaranteeing more than 10 years of operation at a frequency of 1 message per day. Lab testing with real circuits prove that we can achieve more than that. I mean, a higher number of messages per day respecting the longevity that we were targeting from the beginning. The device, as I said, is commercially available. We are in the process for passing the CE certification and FCC certification. So by the end of the week, it will be official. We will obtain the CE and FCC label because all the electromagnetic compatibility and safety tests have been conducted with a result of complies, as you can see on the results from the labs. So I really invite you to test it on the field and create your own experience of how well it works. So now what's next in our plan after this 9-month process for having finally our baby here? Well, our next steps are to have some brothers and sisters for the first baby and target different sizes, which will, of course, deliver different duration on the field, but will allow to fit other use cases which cannot afford the original size of the device that was the first creation by Versa. So this is coming next month. The big size, the large version being available immediately. So this is the end of the story. So I will have a look at your questions and try to answer them. We are, of course, available if you have questions, if you want to give it a test. Please do it. The development is finished, and we are happy to present a totally finalized product. So volume-wise, what volume are you expecting for any product? Well, of course, there is a lot of variation between the different products that we manufacture, but our manufacturing capabilities are of multiple thousands per week. So we would be happy if next year we are manufacturing something between 50 and 100,000 units. So that's our target for next year. This year, the target was to create the product, deliver, refine, and present the product so that next year we will be able to serve in big quantities. What accuracy you commit in GPS? If you pick the datasheet, which is available there, we are speaking about 5 to 10 meters. In reality, it depends on conditions. So when you have reflections from surrounding buildings and so on, we often have an accuracy which is lower than that, which is around 50 meters. But it all depends on conditions, number of satellites seen by the device, which depends on how you place the tracker attached to your asset. So again, my recommendation would be to test on the field because the product is available. Just do it and obtain your own real data and challenge my promises with the realities of the field. Do you use GPS every time? Do you fall to cell tower location? So yes, we try to accomplish GPS location all the time. But when it fails because the tracker is indoor or has no clear visibility towards the sky. The device has the intelligence to fall back to GSM positioning. It looks around, collects the tower information and reports up to 6 towers so that the software side on the cloud can compute triangulation and try to narrow the location when the GPS is not available. The algorithms are very flexible, and if you want to save energy, you can also disable remotely the GPS via configuration and stick to GSM location if that satisfies your use case. How long did the process take from brainstorming to production device? Well, I would say the answer to that question is twofold. On the electronic side of it, we are very quick because of this combination of design and manufacturing capabilities. So in less than a month, we had that first version manufactured and being able to be tested on the field. However, the development process for the enclosure, the tailor-made enclosure, was a much longer path until we obtained the final version, which is this. For those who are interested, we can show what we have created, but the design of the enclosure and especially the manufacturing of the injection mold took much longer than the electronic design itself. What did you learn from the total process? What were the things you didn't expect, pitfalls? Well, I would say that as Mark anticipated, there are sometimes surprises and differences between theory and practice. So for us, it was really convenient and a major help along the process to have the ability to manufacture and test on the field very quickly because we faced some situations which were really difficult to predict. Like, just to give you an example, the tracker contains a thermometer, and the temperature, the current temperature is something that we systematically report. We thought that the temperature that we would be sensing inside the enclosure would be comparable to the ambient temperature. But when you leave it on in the sunlight, in the office in Spain, so in sunny August, I have seen the device reporting more than 85 degrees, while the office was refrigerated with air conditioning. And so sometimes there are surprises, and it's good to have the thing in your hand and have the ability to test it yourself. Make sure that what's the reality. What is the most relevant difference in front of other trackers? So as I said at the beginning, the first point and the first element of our USP is the longevity of the asset. So this promise of 10 plus years, this is what makes our product, well, I don't know if it's totally unique, but that's by far the key differentiator. Then, of course, the TCO, the cost of the unit itself, but most importantly, the running cost that you will incur during all those many years. And that includes the batteries, the data communications, but also the operations. So the device can be reconfigured over the air. You don't need to revisit the device to change the settings used by the algorithm. We can even upgrade the firmware remotely, and those two functions really enable to operate the system remotely from your desk, from your software, without having to visit the tracker and without having to retrofit the assets. In many businesses, retrofitting is a loss of profit because your assets, you have to structure your operations around the requirement to revisit the asset just to replace the battery. So for us, those elements are really a key to success to lower, diminish, minimize the TCO. Are you offering your tracker as a product, as a service? So today, no. We are a device maker, and that's really what we do best, and that's what we want to continue doing. So we typically offer our device to solution providers who can combine that with a software solution and create a complete solution to be offered for final consumers. So we don't do that. We simply manufacture the device. We expect our network of solution providers to package our hardware together with their software and deliver a solution as a service or a product as a service. But we are very conscious that our hardware alone will not deliver the value. It only collects the data and makes it available. It's the responsibility of a solution provider to receive, store, analyze that data, raise alarms, build reports, dashboards, etc., and deliver the value to the business. And I believe that's all. So thank you very much for your attention, and